Good afternoon, and thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your day to learn a little bit more about micro-internships and how we can collaborate with you to help you connect to highly motivated early career talent to help you hopefully find the next great hire for your team. My name is Kristen Schrader, and it's my privilege to lead the partnerships team here at Parker Dewey. We define partnerships as predominantly post-secondary colleges and universities, as well as nonprofit organizations who are supporting students, employers, and collaborating to bring these opportunities to you. So to be clear, I am not a salesperson, but somebody super passionate about helping organizations like yours connect to these early career students, recent graduates, and folks who are trying to launch their career. My background started in human resources, where I too did some college recruiting, like I'm sure many of you have. So I'm very familiar with some of the challenges that you might be facing. And I'm sure all of us have recruited somebody at any given time and hired somebody who may not have quite met your expectations. The goal with micro internships and what we're going to talk about today is how you can de-risk some of the hiring process by working together on these bite-sized short-term opportunities to be able to figure out, is the student or recent grad a good fit for something that might be a longer-term opportunity for your organization. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you a bit of a roadmap for our conversation today. First and foremost, yes, we're recording, so please feel free to ask whatever questions that you have in the chat. I'll do my best to answer those as close to real time as I can. But also feel free to, if you have to step away, yeah, we're recording this. We'll send out the slides and the recording later on. So if you do need to step away, no worries whatsoever, as well as if you want to share this with a colleague. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and give you just a little bit more of an overview about Parker Dewey itself. And so our primary stakeholders are organizations like yours, where we see companies who are using Parker Dewey and these micro internships to access, engage, assess, and ultimately hire these early career talent. Our other stakeholders are the students as well as our partners that I mentioned before. And again, our method of doing this is these short-term paid professional assignments, which we call micro-internships. We actually coined the name and developed the concept nearly 10 years ago. Now, one of the things we found very early on is that these short-term assignments are truly a win-win-win for the students who are getting that real-world paid experience, win for the partners who are excited to be able to support and offer this paid experiential career launching opportunities to their students, and even wins for you and your organizations because you're able to identify these amazing students that you may not have otherwise connected with. And so we are really excited at how these micro internships can help you build a bridge from college to career for the students, and again, to help these students who might be the next great hire for your team. So let me start off by talking a little bit about the definition of how we define micro-internships, because there's other definitions floating around, but for us, they are essentially short-term paid professional projects. They're designed to be on-demand opportunities. So if you take a moment and think about what's on your to-do list, what is top of mind for you, something that maybe has a specific deadline. As we're having this conversation mid-December, maybe this is something that you just don't really want to take into the new year. A micro-internship always has a specific deliverable with a timeline that you specify. So this isn't designed to be a replacement for a part-time, full-time role, but a great pipeline for some of those open roles that you're working hard to fill. Short term for us is typically between 10 to 40 hours in total, and this is work that's being completed by the student. And so the projects 10 to 40 hours, that just is how long they typically take. Projects beyond that are certainly possible, but typically are opportunities that are specific, discrete deliverables, maybe bundled together to be a longer term engagement. We find most projects fit nicely within that 10 to 40 hours. The on-demand piece is important here, especially as we think about those pressing things at the end of the year that we all have on our radar. But we find that micro-internships and the students who are completing these opportunities are excited to do so year-round. Now is a fantastic time to be able to engage micro-interns because we're all running at the end of the year, which for students means finals and then a break. And so a lot of students are really excited to capitalize on that free time that they're going to have without classes and other distractions of campus life, and are really excited to have these opportunities for these resumeable professional development experiences with organizations like yours. And so if you're kind of debating, is this now a great time? As you'll see, micro-internships can be posted within a matter of a couple of minutes, and the students are excited to get started right away. But the other piece is that our job here at Parker Dewey is to make this easy for all that's involved. And so for you, this is designed to relieve you of any administrative burdens. Parker Dewey is the employer of record. We handle the admin, the payroll, legal, all of that, so you don't have to. Now, speaking of payment, why are micro interns paid on Parker Dewey? Well, because we want this to be an accessible and fair resource for the students. Again, we take care of the payment. You'll see how the cost structure and all of that works in just a moment. It is a fixed fee engagement. You set the price. Most micro internships are around $20 per estimated hour of work, which translates to $200 or so for a 10-hour project. Last thing to keep in mind is that these are designed to be professional projects. This isn't babysit my kids, walk my dog, although they would really appreciate it right now. But this is designed to be something that is professional, resumeable experience. If students are looking for non-professional projects, there's other places they can find those. But with Parker Dewey, these are similar to what, if you had a summer intern, what those interns would have been completing. But again, keep in mind, these are year-round engagements. So how do you get started? Well, simple as 3 quick and easy steps. Post your project, select the student or students that you may want to work with, and the work gets done. And again, part of the reason why this is so easy is, first of all, we've been doing this for 10 years almost, so we've got to learn a few things here and there about what types of projects are a good fit. But also, we have taken a lot of the legwork out by handling all the admin, but also by establishing an array of templates and other example projects to give you some ideas and to get you started. So let's just dig into one of those. I'm going to put this in the chat in case you'd like to check this out real time. But this is our project library. Now, this isn't designed to be a comprehensive list of the only things that students can do, but rather these are projects that we've seen again and again and again, day in, day out, year round. And so you'll see a variety of different categories. We have some that are most popular, but then there's also some that are organized based on your functional area within your organization. So finance and accounting versus marketing versus tech versus whatever. This is also designed to help give students an idea of, oh, I might be studying communications, but the projects of interest to me might be in sales and business development or marketing or even HR or what have you. So this isn't designed to translate into students' academic majors. We see students from all different majors who are engaging with projects of all of these different types. So with the projects that are outlined here, and I'll pick on one as a quick example. Again, these are just an array of options to get your minds rolling, but also to make it easy. You might have a social media project that's top of mind for you right now that you do not want to take into the new year. Well, you can click Post Now. And that particular project, once you've created a Parker Dewey account, will pre-populate for you. Again, making it really easy for you to get started. Now, you can customize this however you'd like. So for example, if you want to start this project in the next couple of days, you certainly can do so. You can post it and have it kick off tomorrow if you so choose. And then if you decide, I really want to give students a little bit more free time, I've got some leeway in my schedule, no problem. You can adjust the start and end date to whatever works best for you. You also have flexibility when it comes to the deliverables section. So if you, for example, don't want to do 2 posts per day, you want to do 4 posts per week or whatever, again, feel free to adjust. And you can also specify whatever platform you're using, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Location, pretty self-explanatory, but while most micro-internships are remote, we do require you to indicate a location, as it's very helpful for both you and the student for coordinating things like time zones and other logistics. And also some micro-internships are on site. And if that's the case for you, if your project can't be done remotely, no problem, just toggle this over to on-site. Now, these projects, again, if whenever possible, do recommend that you make it a remote assignment. It's easier for you. It's also more accessible and easier for students, and it'll allow you to engage a much broader array of students who are located nationwide. The Parker Dewey network, as you'll see, is quite extensive, and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about that. And so this is one place where through one hosting, one platform, you can truly engage students from thousands of different academic programs nationwide, if that is your goal. Moving right along, now the section on cost pre-populates, again, 20 hours, $400. That's what we typically see for a project like this. And so that's 20 hours approximately of work that the student would take to complete your project. And this helps the student to get some idea of how much time they should budget to complete that particular assignment. But again, this is fixed fee. Nobody's dealing with timesheets or any of that. In this case, the student would receive $400 upon completion. But as a reminder, Parker Dewey is making this payment to the student. They're not on your books. And the amount that you would pay in total is 10% above that. So just $444.44 is how the math works here. And that $44 and change, again, that's what Parker Dewey retains, covering our costs of administering the project. But the $400 goes directly to the student that you select upon completion of the project. One other thing to note is that you can, if you like, work with multiple students. And so for those of you who might have an open role that you're trying to fill, this can be a fantastic way to see multiple students in action. And again, if you like, you can adjust the timing down to something more budget friendly, or maybe the scope of the project doesn't need to be as extensive as a 20-hour assignment. And you can go ahead and say, I want to do a 10-hour project. Students will receive $200, and I want to work with 5 students, if you'd like. To be clear, there is no cost to create a Parker Dewey account. There is no cost to post a project. We only invoice you once you've selected however many students that you wish to engage. And for this particular example, to pick all 5 students is just over $1,100. One other note about costs is that we want this to be a career and a recruiting tool that you can hopefully find the next great hire for your team. And so to that end, there is no cost if you do want to hire that student for the longer term role. And whether that is another part-time opportunity on your team, full-time internship, whatever that might look like, again, we don't want to get in the way of that. That is core to our mission, that this be a career-enhancing, resumeable experience for the student that hopefully translates into something longer term for you both. Last couple of sections to be aware of. You can add some specific skills that might be top of mind for you. We see this particularly relevant if there's a technical skill or a platform that you want the student to be familiar with. We'll see students, for example, who might need to have expertise in a certain CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot, or maybe students that might need to know Power BI or Python or how to code in C++, HTML, whatever. Any of those types of qualifications that you're looking for, go ahead and specify it there. The next section is where you can identify specific schools that you want to make your project exclusively available to. And you can choose as many institutions as you would like. My recommendation, though, is to leave it open. And the reason for that is this allows you to have that nationwide pool of students, because you just never know when the next great member of your team might be from a school that may not have been on your radar, or maybe that you've never even heard of. Affiliations and programs is also an opportunity if you have an affinity for students who might be part of a specific nonprofit organization that we've also partnered with, or maybe you have an affinity for students with a particular background, like they might be a veteran, or maybe they're a student athlete and so on. You can, if you'd like, add those, I can type here, as a specific affiliation And you can choose as few or many of those as you wish. And that way, then the student would, who has that in their profile, would be seeing that project, and anyone who doesn't would not. Again, I recommend have it as open as possible. You always can filter based on who applies if you do have an affinity for students at one or more target institutions. And then the last couple of sections, some quick little questions, and then you can specify some questions that you want the student to answer as part of their application. Think of this both as the application for the student, but also kind of like an interview, because we find that many organizations choose not to do an interview for a micro-internship. And I personally have never interviewed a prospective micro-intern that I've worked with. They've all been fantastic from my experience, but I find that these short answer questions make it really easy to be able to see who has the curiosity, the insight, the written communication skills, and so on that I'm looking for versus somebody who may need a little bit of polishing in some of those areas and may not be the best fit for what I would be looking for a project. Now, you can choose as many questions or few as you'd like. I do recommend a handful of questions just to identify what it is that you're specifically looking for the project. And there's always this, why should we select you? Question that every student must answer for every single project. And then when you're ready, click post now and the project is live for you to be able to move forward and identify the students that are of interest to you. So going back to the PowerPoint here, just to give you a quick idea of what happens next, I did leave a couple of screenshots in just so you or your colleagues can refer to that later on if you'd like. But then once you've posted your project, you will only see those students who created an account, excuse me, who have applied to your project. And that way you, the student, nobody has to guess if anyone's interested. You'll know they're interested in your project because you'll see their application. You'll see their answers to those short answer questions. You'll see their resume, their LinkedIn profile, and whatever else they may have chosen to include in their profile. And these short answer questions, again, make it very quick and easy to see who it is that is a good fit for those for that particular opportunity that you're looking for. And then once you have selected the student, you and the student immediately get each other's contact information so that you and the student can set up a time to meet. We recommend via Zoom, Teams, or whatever platform works best for you both to go over the details of the project, to clarify the timeline. Maybe there's some milestones that you want them to complete at a specific period of time. I definitely recommend checking in with the student via email or whatever, or maybe a few days after the project kicks off, just to make sure the student is understanding your needs. You also might need to have the student be given access to certain tools or documents, give it a little more background about the project, etc. You can clarify all of that in that short, quick overview conversation. And by short, I find in my experience, again, and what I hear from other companies, these kickoff meetings take 10, maybe 15 minutes, depending on the complexity of your project. Because from there, the student is working typically whatever hours works best for their schedule, meeting whatever milestones you and they agree upon. We find the students do a phenomenal job. We have a 98% project success rate. Again, students are highly motivated, they're getting a great education, and they really want to exceed expectations on these opportunities because they're excited to launch their career. And case in point, when we talk to students, we survey students from these thousands of institutions and say, how do you want to be recruited? How do you want to engage with employers? And as you can see, not only are students starting really early in their academic program, 75% are saying that they are excited to start exploring career opportunities as early as their first or second year of college. But they're also saying that the traditional recruiting methods, career fairs, info sessions, things like that, don't necessarily allow them to demonstrate all that they can do. I know I can speak to that personally when I recruited, and I would go to career fairs and I'd meet hundreds of students, and after a while, the students sort of look all the same in their experiences and so on. It's hard to have students stand out in those kinds of settings. But working together really allows you and that student to determine, is this a great fit? And we hear it again that the students are excited. They want to put to work what they're learning in the classroom. But that's why this works for students. Now, for you, why this is so effective is that, again, through one platform, Parker Dewey can reach students from over 5,900 post-secondary schools and academic programs. So one place you could reach a massive array of early career talent. Now, if diversity, equity, and inclusion is a goal or priority for your organization, we have found that over 80% of the students who are selected for micro-internships come from historically underrepresented backgrounds. And this is something we're extremely proud to see, but this is happening organically because these are the students that are the best candidates for these opportunities, and the short-term nature of these projects have really allowed these students that may otherwise not have been given the opportunity to get this chance for paid resumeable experience. And again, you can see some more statistics. The students not only do a phenomenal job, 97% of companies, when they're looking at the final deliverable, have said that that deliverable met or exceeded their expectations. And for those organizations using and looking to use micro-internships as a recruiting tool, which I hope you will, this is something that can directly affect your bottom line. Case in point, that last statistic, 98% of the students completing micro-internships stay in that first job after college for over a year. And the way we attribute that when we survey students and talk to them, they have more data. They understand more what is a good fit for them so that they can make a more informed decision and are more likely to stay in that first job upon graduation. Now, part of the reason this works so effectively is in addition to being able to see the quality of their work, you also are able to assess students' core skills. Now, you look at the bold list on the slide, every single one of these things are things that we all need, no matter what role we're hiring for. And just by simply having the student apply and working with them on these projects, you're really able to assess these students beyond their resume, but based on their core skills. For example, when they apply to a project, you know they are taking initiative. They are a self-starter. They're interested in your organization. Nobody's forcing them to apply to a micro-internship. This is something they are choosing to do because they want to work with you on your project. If you're thinking about how to enhance your organization's brand, what a great way to do this is a way to get in front of these students. By working together on these short-term projects, again, not much time involved on your end, but you can truly see the student and assess the students' communication skills, their attention to detail, things like, did they turn the work in on time? How coachable were they? How did they respond when you may have suggested something that they change, and did they meet your expectations, and did they make improvements and so on? And then, of course, the final product really allows you to see things like the quality of their work, their intellectual curiosity, their ability to solve challenges and so on, and of course, their professionalism. And all of this is just inherent, no matter what project that you're choosing to post, just inherent with the process. And for those of you who are looking to do micro-internships at scale, this all leads to some really powerful recruiting data. For companies who are posting not just one or two projects, but are posting 50, 100, 200, thousands of projects, they're able to get some really powerful data from their hiring managers across the organization about the quality of these students and their feedback. They're able to identify geographic hotspots. They're able to identify goals around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they have a population of students and early career talent that they can tap into and access at any given time, no matter what sort of challenges may come up or needs or other hiring managers that may have a staffing challenge that they need to address quickly. So how do companies implement micro-internship programs? Meaning, how do they implement micro-internships at scale to be able to get some of that great data that I just highlighted? Well, we call those micro-internship programs, and it starts with a conversation. A goal. We want to understand, what are your needs? What are the challenges you're trying to fill when it comes to early career recruiting? Is it that you have a specific role that is top of mind? Maybe you're trying to reach a specific population. Student athletes are coming up quite a lot right now with our colleagues who are employer facing. Or maybe you're trying to deepen a relationship with one or more target schools. Maybe you're going to be moving to a new location and you need to establish some brand equity and awareness for students at schools in those new locations. Whatever those goals might be, we will help you identify projects, micro-internships that align to those goals. And whether you or your hiring managers are engaging with the students, that's the fun part. But then the HR teams, those of you who are using this to recruit, have access to all of that really powerful data to be able to understand who are those micro interns, who are those students that are the great fit for your longer term roles. So just to give you a couple of specific implementation ideas, maybe you're hiring right now. Well, in those cases, we recommend a job audition project. So for example, maybe it's a sales role that you're trying to fill. We see this happen again and again where a company will identify a project where they'll say, okay, I want to have a student to a research on one of our products and develop a sales pitch about that particular product. We saw this happen with a medical device company that have used this at scale to fill some additional business development, sales rotational development program needs that they had. And in this case, they said, pick a product, do research on that particular product, develop that sales pitch, and they hired multiple students. This wasn't just one or two students. In their most recent iteration, they hired a dozen students to do that micro internship, and they converted 4 to full-time roles. And so significant cost savings, and these are students that attended dozens of schools that they didn't necessarily have on their radar. So it really allowed them to stretch their recruiting budget while also increasing the effectiveness of that. And in case you're curious, that particular success story is featured on our website. Smith & Nephew is the company that has publicly spoken about that opportunity. And so whatever role you have that's top of mind, maybe the role is entry-level data marketer, collaborating with our team will help you identify those particular projects. This isn't something you have to do. We have the expertise and experience doing this. Let us help you dissect that job description into discrete projects. For example, gathering, analyzing, and reporting marketing data. Here's a project around data cleanup and visualization that can help you assess, can a student do that? We'll identify those projects so that you can see those students demonstrate those skills in action. Maybe your role that your goal is more longer term. Maybe you're trying to identify ways that you can expand awareness of your brand, particularly to specific populations of colleges or particular academic programs or maybe student organizations or what have you. For this, we recommend a campus ambassador strategy where you can hire students as campus ambassadors. These make great micro internships, and they can work on going to classes, engaging with faculty, going to student organizations, shortlisting populations that maybe you don't know about because they know their campus better than anyone, but they can help you develop a strategy for how to increase awareness of your organization at their institution. Or maybe your goals are even longer term in horizon. Maybe you're not thinking so much about the class of 2025, but maybe the class of 2026 or even beyond. For that, we recommend thinking about projects that can be very short-term, but research-oriented projects that are targeted for first and second-year students. We find first and second-year students make fantastic micro-interns. They're excited to put to work what they're learning in the classroom, and these research projects become a really great way for you to assess their core skills and also learn a few things about emerging technologies or other areas that are of interest to you. We've had students do projects in areas like AI or identifying cybersecurity threats, tools that might be important for you to be aware of in your particular industry, etc. Now, to get started with this, it's a very cost-effective way. We have a pilot program that can start as low as $5,000 and will allow you to engage 10 micro-internships, engaging candidates across whatever populations of institutions that are of interest to you. You can see some other really powerful metrics around expanding your brand, making this a very efficient and cost-effective method and strategy for you. This also gives you access to all of that data. We call this the Parker Dewey Plus Candidate Intelligence Platform, and you can have this access through the first half of 2025 to really round out your academic year with some really powerful insights from these students who are excited to work with your organization. So why now? Well, as I mentioned before, this is a fantastic time during winter break to engage students, but even looking into the first quarter of 2025, This can help you keep those candidates that you met over the fall recruiting excited about your organization. Maybe you've already extended offers. This can keep those folks engaged. This can help you with any roles that you're still trying to fill. And it can also help you with your strategy for your campus recruiting initiatives in 2025-26. Maybe there's some students in schools that aren't on your radar, but who might be after you work with them on these micro-internships. To launch these programs is very quick and easy. We can have these programs up and running within a week once we understand your goals, your needs. We will help you identify those projects. We'll help you get those up and running and posted. Most projects are filled within 48 hours of being posted. So again, very time-effective way for you to get started on something and introduce micro-internships and a variety of different candidates to your organization. And you can do so even before the end of the year, if that's of interest to you. So depending on the hiring challenges you are trying to solve, here's some additional case studies. And again, I'll leave these to you to explore at your leisure. But you can, if your growing student awareness or brand is up top of mind, you can see some specific strategies of how you can use micro-internships to address that particular pain point. So to get started, post that first micro-internship. That's how it can begin as simply as just that first initial project. And then from there, it can be rolled into your campus recruiting efforts. That pilot program that I just mentioned, if that's of interest to you, we are more than happy to get you started, or at least explore a little bit more about how that can benefit your organization and some of your early career goals, both now and into the new year. So with that, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'll stick around if anyone has any lingering questions. But happy to help however we can, and again, really appreciate your interest today. Oh, and a question that just came through. So Norfolk State, thank you. I guess good to see you. So Department of Student Pathways, we are promoting the IBM Skills Build. A repeated question: how do I get paid? How do I have to open an account? Is it direct deposit? So those are all great student questions. Today's conversation is more employer facing, but for the students, they are paid by Parker Dewey upon completion of the project. So for companies, there's no cost to participating in this IBM Skills Build initiative. That's one of our funded programs. So any of you who might have a AI project or a cyber project, a research project, and you're interested in first or second year students, particularly students from a handful of HBCUs, Norfolk State being one of them, happy to talk further about that. But these are opportunities where you can engage students at scale. And Yogas, to your question, for students, they can create their account on Parker Dewey, the students can, and then if they're selected, they'll be paid upon completion of the project. They'll select the payment method that works best for them. Happy to answer that question, no problem. So, and if there's any other questions, feel free to ask away, but if not, I'll wish you a wonderful rest of your Thursday and happy holiday season.